Well, hello everyone. It is Friday, July the 21st, 2023. I am Delbridge, and I am not in uniform today for this particular broadcast. I'm with Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and I am hot. Not necessarily under the collar, but we've been working and getting the project done, and quite honestly, it's a little tough and tight, and we're going back to work immediately after this production and posting of this particular status chat. Now, today I'm going to give you a pro tip of how to potentially help your refrigerator last a little longer. Right after this important word from the sponsor, which is me. If you like this content, please go to CallDelToSell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when each Friday's blog has been uploaded. Thank you. Well, hopefully that wasn't too painful, but we do have requirements. I have to do a little bit of some advertising here and there to keep everything proper where you know where to find me and all that kind of good jazz required by law. So we got that out of the way. What do we got going on? Well, let me first tell you what has me a little bit thinking about this. I have a friend, ex-client in Georgia, and he recently told me that he went through 7 refrigerators to get one that worked. And I thought, well, that's, we all embellish or I guess exaggerate sometime for content. It may be a slight blowing up of the number. But no, he actually said, no, I actually went through 7 different physical refrigerators. I don't think I was ever going to get one that was going to work. And to start it out, he'd bought his refrigerator at a major box store, appliance store, something like that. And when he had bought it, he picked a model out, budget friendly and all that kind of stuff to fit his space and all the requirements that he had. And I think the first one maybe didn't work at all. And then he got another one that came in, but it was beat up on the side, like somebody took a chain to it or something. So he sent that one back. They brought him another refrigerator. I think at that point in time, it did work, but it didn't make ice, and he's big on having ice, and so he sent that one back after a few days of it not making ice. And the technician coming out playing with it, and he said, look, I can get an ice maker, but it would cost so much to tear this thing down and put an ice maker in it to replace the old one that may have a design flaw. That's probably not going to be good. So he talked to the people at the store. They changed brands on him, and I think the very first one that came in had a problem with a door seal. One of the gaskets or something wasn't any count. So he got that fixed up, and I think next one they brought in was dented again. I don't know what it is about denting refrigerators that we have so much trouble with, but it had a dented refrigerator. So I think he ended up with 7 different refrigerators, if I haven't messed this count up, and that may not be the correct order of the events, but there we have it. So let's look at this new kitchen going in, and so we can talk about that pro tip. Okay, here we have a kitchen going in. It's going to be an efficiency kitchen, and it's kind of set up to do some certain things, but we have a refrigerator in a double-walled cabinet. Now, I don't know about you, but you may not know that if you have a cabinet, one of the 24-inch deep over a refrigerator, it has to be floor supported. It has to be floor standing. So here we have a typical 12-inch over the counter type thing. But if you go 24-inch over something, it has to be supported. The oven cabinet, it's obviously supported. Here we have this one that's supported as well. And we have it walled off this side, that side, and it's in there before. So what is it we need to talk about? Well, here's your tip. Clearances. Allow for the following clearances for ease of installation, proper air circulation. Now, yeah, you may get it back in there, but you want to make sure you have air circulation, plumbing and electrical connections, because remember, it does plug in the wall back there, and we usually have an ice maker box or valve box, although that valve box is recessed into the wall. So what is it saying we need at top? 1 inch. Well, we just looked at that, I think it was. We had plenty of room on top of the cabinet, but notice where it says to measure from. Cabinet hinge cover. That's the top of that. Now here's the thing. If you're like me, you want normally, our natural inclination is to get the biggest refrigerator we can find that'll fit the hole. Right? We want a big one, and so they got plenty of volume, and we can slide a watermelon in there if we want one, or a gallon jug of milk and a couple of 2 liters or whatever we might have. Thanksgiving is always a challenge, bigger containers. And so I don't think there's anything evil or bad about it, but we tend to want the biggest one we got. And what do? when we're laying out a kitchen or whatnot, we have a tendency to try to make sure we have the distances off the front of the cabinets and the sides and all that kind of jazz. And we do that. But we forget one thing. The clearances around the refrigerator. Now here, the top, where we at? The top is usually pretty easy to get. What we typically overlook in that is the cabinet hinges. The sizing comes over the cabinet hinge covers. So, and it's only 1 inch, but usually the box is lower than those hinges. They normally stick up another inch or so. So we may look at it and go, yeah, I got an inch clear, when in fact you may not have an inch clear. You may have less than an inch when you look at those covers and how far back they go. On this particular refrigerator, they go back quite a ways, and it meets that. It has like 3 inches or so on top, 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, something like that. So we got that here. This is the other connection that we have trouble with, is back here in the back. For whatever reason, we typically forget. We'll size our room and our spaces, and we get the width because we know we got to fit between something, and we may even remember to give it that on the top. But what we typically forget when we go back into that cabinet is go, well, if it's a 24-inch deep cabinet, then my refrigerator has to be 24 inches, and how much? Well, if it's 30 inches, that means it was sticking out 6 inches, so maybe I don't want the one sticking quite 6 inches out. We'll take 4 off of it, and we'll go maybe 28 inches deep, and we'll go a certain, whatever it is, the hole 33 or 36 wide, whatever hole we have to put it in. But we forget about the back. Getting back to that picture, we need 2 inches off the back so the thing can breathe. What about the sides? Well, here we are on the sides, and we see by this picture we probably have our 1/8 inch on both sides. That looks pretty close to a 1/4, maybe a little shy of it if we have a little swelling or a little puffing in the middle where they foam the cabinet box. But but we got the gap right there, and it's all on one side, and I'll show you why in just a second. Now we're back to our big picture, and it does give us a little bit better view of just how big that door hinge goes back there, but we just covered the top and we covered the left side. We have that gap on that side. But from this picture, you may not be able to tell, but that's pretty darn tight right up against this thing. This part is called a return, and the return has a little bit of a lip. Well, this one doesn't have a lip on this side. This does. I could have put one there, and this is awfully tight. Well, I added this guy right here. It's a little bit of a vent. In fact, there's a better picture of it. You can get an idea of it. And I want it way in the back for purposes of ventilation. I'm cheating off, and it's hard to get it perfectly balanced center to center in a space anyway when you're rolling something back. But I've got it tight on that side. The other side, I've got plenty of room. And this allows air to come in right back at the right height where the compressor and its sundry equipment is located in the back. But we also have, if we would look at that spacing, what did we have? What was its requirement? 2 inches. So we have our 2 inches off the back. There's actually blocks in the back here that will keep it from going tighter than that. And the whole purpose is to let a little bit of air get in here, blow out from under it on that side, or pull in from the top, however the airflow works. So that's what we got going on. Hello, I'm Delbridge of Benchmark Realty, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. If you are currently unrepresented and would like to know how to compare up to 3 properties side by side and room by room, then go over to my new YouTube channel, CallDelToSell. That's 1 L and Del, no spaces. Watch the demo on Real Scout, and then call me and we'll set up your exclusive ad-free account today. All right, so what was the pro tip? Follow the installation guidelines, because we have, if you want to think about it, all that space, but the first thing we need to not forget is the 2 inches in back so that it can breathe right behind the unit. It's not just to shove it back as far as we can do and still not cause a leak from the water connection back to or the plug-in. You want to give it the room it needs to breathe. Now in my case, I cut a hole in the return and put a vent in there because I also want to be able to shine a light through there without rolling the unit out. I want to be able to shine a light through there and visually check to make sure I don't have any leakage back there. You know, just from time to time stuff leaks for no apparent reason whatsoever. What do you say we get to our numbers for this week? All right, last week, 7/14/23, we had 18,098 in the opportunities, which was increased over the previous period just a little bit. We had 4194 in the under contract still showing, and that was an exact match to the previous week. What are the odds of that? Pretty darn slim. And the ratio fell to 23% between those two numbers. This week, 7/21/23, we have 18,097. That's one less opportunity than we had all of last week. Although some came on, some came off, still one different. That's pretty darn unusual at that. So that came down just a little bit, one opportunity. We had 4135 in the under contract still showing. That also fell a little bit. The ratio between those two numbers did not change at 23%. So the thing is, some people may not like the vent I put in the return because they consider it ugly. I consider spending $2,000, $3,000 for a refrigerator every few years annoying as a devil. And quite honestly, when you have to have them delivered and brought upstairs at additional cost, that's also an inconvenience at that. So I would just rather, since I'm maybe just a little bit shy, if anything, if I'm a little bit shy, it'd be just a tiny bit. I would rather have the air going back there to make sure it stays nice and cool. Plenty of room on the top. Should be adequate room on each side, but just to make sure we have that and to provide that secret sneaky peek hole so I can look down there with a flashlight, see in case to make sure that my ice maker line is not leaking. So that's the show for today. Have a great weekend. Thank you for watching.